and welcome to Beads Jar. My name's Billy, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how you can weave using the brick stitch this beautiful honeyed diamond necklace pendant. I've put it onto the rose gold chain, but that really is up to you. If you'd like to create a contrast, you can also put it on silver. I do hope you enjoy the tutorial today. For our project today, we'll be using the size 11 Miyuki seed beads in this Hematite colour and the gold, and we'll be working with the new GemDuos, and we've got the two colours of those. I've also used a rose gold chain and the copper tone wire that we'll be putting these on. You've got a 6-pound Fireline and a size 10 beading needle, which I've cut 2 meters or 1.5 meters of Fireline. And for the tools, we'll be using the precision scissors, a pair of round nose pliers, and side cutters. To start, I've just cut a length with the side cutters of the copper wire, and it's actually a square wire, so it's going to give us a nice rigid effect for our beading. And the first thing I want to do is to use my round nose pliers to make a loop. Now, what I'm creating, although we're going to do it in a different colour, is this bar across the top of the brick stitch pendant. So I'm just going to hold my pliers level, flush with the wire here, and I'm going to grip and bend the pliers around to create a loop of wire until it joins itself like so. So I've got no gap between the wire and the loop here. And then we can start our threading. So I take my beading needle and I'm going to add 15, a row of 15 of the gunmetal Miyukis along here using brick stitch. So to do that, I'm going to pick up my first bead and I'm taking that down the thread. I want to leave myself a tail of thread that I'll tuck in at the end of the project. So I've gone through the bead and I'm just going to go through the same bead again with my beading needle. So that's the first bead on, and we're going to attach that onto our copper wire. To do that, if you hold the wire above the bead, it doesn't matter if we're not close to the loop for the time being, I'm taking that thread over the top of the copper wire, and then my beading needle is coming back through the bead. So in effect, we're just looping the thread over the top of the copper wire. If it does slide out, don't worry, you can just pop that back in. It's just because we've got the starting point of the project here. So that's the first bead on. So the wire, the fire line is just looped over your copper thread. Okay. And now we want to add our next bead, and we're going to do 15 of these along the wire. So you're picking up the next one, take that down your thread first, so all the way down the fire line. Under and behind the copper wire and back through the gunmetal seed bead. So there's a bit of a gap between those two beads, but you can just push that along and pull it with the thread so that you don't have the gap between the beads So we're on to number 2, and we're picking up our 3rd gunmetal. Take that down your wire, down your fire line, around the back of your copper wire and through the bead. My thread's being naughty, it's trying to catch onto everything, so let's just pop that over the top again. And bring that right up to the wire. And keep going. So we're doing 15 beads in total along the top row. Okay, so we've got the 15 beads on, and our copper wire is now going to get trimmed down. So from the last bead, I'm going to put a finger's width. So I'm holding my finger next to the last bead, and then using my cutters, I'm going to take the excess wire away from that. I like to support that as I cut it off so it doesn't ping too ferociously at anybody or in any direction. And we're going to repeat the same process of curling our wire around. So you're holding the pliers flush, and you're going to roll that wire into the beads so that there's no gap, and then our pendant piece will sit in the middle there. So we've rolled that round, and this is going to go onto our chain at the end of the project. So we've created a sort of boat shape, a little arc shape with our wire, and our 15 beads are sat on that first row. So this is my tail end, and you can choose to work from right to left or left to right, whichever is more comfortable for you. So I'm going to hold this in my left hand so I can show you the next step. So we're going to do a row of gold seed beads now. So we want to pick the first bead up. So my thread's coming out of that last gunmetal. I'm picking the bead up. That's going to go down our fire line. And then you take your beading needle through the loop under the 2 gunmetals. So I'm bringing that thread back up, and I'm just going to turn the project again to make it easier, and I'm going to take my beading needle back through that next bead. And as you can see, that's now sat in between the 2 gunmetal, and your gold bead is sat underneath them. And then you want to pick up your next bead, and you're going to do the same. So it's going to go to the side. And we're going to continue with 14 along until we get to this loop on the gunmetal. We've completed our row of 14 golds, and then, as I say, don't be afraid to turn the project so it's more comfortable for you to hold, and we're going to do a row of 13 in the gunmetal colour as well. So just starting in the same way as we did with our gold row. So we thread the bead on, we take the thread through the loop, and then we go back through the same bead, so from top to bottom on that same bead. At this side we've got the starting thread as well, which always wants to be looped into our beading thread, so I've just pulled that out, so that's just going out to the side, and so we can continue our project. You can hold it between your fingers to keep it more out of the way if that helps. So we're just going and putting 13 onto this row, so just 13 beads before we move on to adding our GemDuos. I like the GemDuos. They're very nice to work with. If you haven't worked with them before this project, I would recommend it. So go ahead and thread your 13 gunmetals until you've got to the end of this row. So we've come out of that last lane of the gunmetals, and we're going to pick up our gold. So pick up a gold and go through the second one along. And then we can pick up our next GemDuo. So we'll go through that just as we have done the rest. So I'm coming out of the gold, and now I'm picking up my GemDuo. And I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure the holes are through on both sides, which they are. So I've picked up that GemDuo, and I'm taking that down the wire. And this is going to sit between the second and third gunmetal, and I'm going to pick up a gold, and then I'm going to go, so that's between second and third, so third and fourth is where we put our needle, and come across so that the GemDuo is facing down and through the gold. Don't worry about your tension at this point, we can still pull it in, so just gently guide that up. So I'm just teasing the thread back and forth so that it's sat correctly and we don't have too much of a bag, so we don't want any bagging between the beads. And we're going to add another gold, so between the fourth and the fifth. So take your bead down, between the gunmetal and then back. Oh dear, I must have looped back on the actual thread that I'd put through, so just do that again. So that's picking the bead up, and I'll try not to make the same mistake, and back through the bead. I looped back on myself there. That's better. Sat correctly. And your next GemDuo. And I'll just do the same again. I like to just check the holes. And also, you want to have the same side facing up. So you just need to verify before you put it on that it is going to go the right way. So the same face forward, because there is a back which is clearer on your GemDuos, so we're making sure that they're all going to sit the same way. Okay, and then your gold bead, and then we're going to miss one and through the second one along. And down through the seed bead. And carry on, so we're picking up another seed bead. So you have two seed beads in between your GemDuos, and you're going to have 4 of them on this top row, but finish with a single one at the end, and then I'll join you to get the next row going as well. So we've added the last gold, and we're going to take our beading needle back through the GemDuo, so just through that first one. And we're picking up a gunmetal grey. And going through between the 2 golds. And then back down. And from that one, you're going across to the GemDuo hole. It's a single GemDuo, just the one. Pick up again, so we're adding one of these in between our GemDuos. Back across. Pick up. And through our last GemDuo here. Now we don't pick up another grey. What we are going to do is come across the GemDuo and through the bottom hole on that one, so just the one, so that you're coming out of the opposite side. And then we're going to add in the other colour in our GemDuos, so I'm just going to check these holes as well as I did with the others. So I'm going to go through, make sure they face forward equally, as one side is smoother and one's more domed, and through your next GemDuo. And we're picking up another one in between each of these. The reason I check that there's 2 holes is because it's quite frustrating if you've accidentally picked up one that doesn't have a hole all the way through, and because you only find out when you get to the next row, and in a larger project than this, it's just best that you've checked them first, otherwise you have to start taking rows back, and that can be very, very frustrating. Once I've come out of this side, I'm going to come up through my GemDuo and across again, and then I'm going to start on the opposite side. So you're going to go back all the way through these beads until we get to here. So I left off where we were going all the way back through the top row of GemDuos, so I'm coming out of the top hole of the first one, and I'm going to take that back along. This also gives you the opportunity to pull in any of the tension if you're finding that it's a bit baggy, so you can just correct that if you wish as well at this moment. So I'm coming back across. I just need to do the last 2 there. So I'm coming out the bottom hole now on the top row of GemDuos. Oops, sorry, we don't want to go through the last one. We're coming out of the second to last one. And we're going to jump down from here to the hole on the bottom of the gunmetal colour. So we're coming through that one. Pick up your next row, so we're going to do 2 of these. I'm just going to check the holes and make sure as well that I have it facing the right way. And through the hole on the next bead. And then another one. There we go. Secure again by going back on that row. Just make sure you go through all the beads and come out at the gunmetal. So you see that pulled that in instantly, so the row's more secure. And then we take that through the bottom row, coming out between the gunmetal and the copper colour. And I'm bringing that thread now across and down to the last gunmetal bead that we're going to add. That one I don't need to check, I'm only going to go through one hole anyway. And then I'm going to back up through these GemDuos. So I've come out there, which is no problem at all, and I'm going to start to tie this end off. So you can see the pendant shape there. My threads come out between these two, and I'm going to now tie that end off. So I'm going to go under the thread, so one of the threads with my beading needle. So I've just caught one of the threads going between the beads, and as I pull my thread, a loop forms with the Fireline, and we loop through with the beading needle and pull that tight to hide that in between our beads, and take that again through some more beads. All this will just reinforce the threads as well, running between your beads. So you can place these knots anywhere you want. So I'm just going to take that through the gunmetal and come out, and I'm going to do a second knot there. So I'm going to catch one of the threads going through between the beads. As I pull that, you'll see the loop appearing. Through the loop, down, and then next through your beads. Now I'm confident now with 2 knots, that's nice and secure. I've not cut away next to the knot but gone through another bead, and the thread's coming out here. This is the thread with the needle end on, so I'm going to cut that away, and then I'm going to put the needle back onto my starting end, and I'm going to repeat that. So I'll go through some of the beads, in between the beads do 2 knots, tie it off and cut away the excess, leaving us just with the pendant, and I can show you how we'll attach that to our necklace. With both our ends of thread taken away, we've got our beautiful pendant left with no thread sticking out anywhere, and I've already done this side to show you. So I've bent the loop slightly to the side, so this one's still facing me, and I'm just going to take with my pliers across the loop, support this part with my finger, and I'm going to bend it round so that's facing forward. So I now have my loops on my pendant that are this way round. I now want to hold that again, and I'm just going to twist the wire up towards me. So I've created a gap here, and I'm going to take that fine chain and I'm looping it through into the open loop. Support it again, and we're closing that back so there's no gap. And then we're going to add this side on. So pick that up, open my loop, and take the chain through. Close that back. I'm just checking that there's no way that can get out. It can't. So that gives me my chain through the pendant. To finish that off beautifully. There you go. Thank you for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed our project. Remember to give us a big thumbs up, and that you can subscribe now to see all of our latest tutorials. We hope to see you again next time. Until then, bye bye.